Ram, we've been connected for so many years, and I think, I've watched so many of your films, and we've always had some amazing conversations. But I think today we're finally doing our interview, and I'm just so glad that through Ek Duaa and of course the Voot Select Film Fest, we're able to connect today. So a huge congratulations firstly on Ek Duaa, and thank you so much for joining me on Filme Shilmy.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Anuj, because I've always appreciated people who are, connoisseurs of cinema and who have loved, appreciated work of people that, across, we are putting in a lot of effort to make films in our own little way. And we need people like you to kind of, spread the good words out there if you like the content. And that's how we can reach to more and more people.
Absolutely. Now, Ek Duaa again is very special as you're uniting with Esha Deol Takhtani, and I think the story is very important as well. It addresses so many layers to it, including the sort of, I guess, a positive represent. I mean, the sort of relationship between a mother and daughter, as well as the father and daughter as well. It talks about misogyny and so many different aspects as well, and the gender stereotypes of women as well. So where did this idea come from for you, and what made you materialize it into Ek Duaa?
To begin with, I really wanted to kind of do something again with Asia after Cakewalk, because Cakewalk has been a great success, and you have been witness to that. And we were in London, and we were talking about the film at that point of time. And after that, of course, I did Seasons Greeting and Rickshawala, which was again hugely appreciated and widely appreciated by the film critics and everybody across board. So that's something which is which is always in my mind, that I need to do something with Aisha again, because she is somebody who I feel that her talent has not been utilized properly, and she can do a lot more of what we have not seen her performing on screen. And that's how I keep revisiting her as a director, and try to kind of give her different kinds of role which people have not seen. And when I met my story writer Avinash Mukherjee for Ek Dua, he narrated me the story, and I quite liked it. And that's when I decided that I would approach Aisha for the main lead. And but I was not prepared for this surprise that after hearing the script, of course she became very emotional, and she had tears in her eyes and all that stuff. But what happened was, she said that Ram, I'm not just doing the film, but I'm also going to produce the film for you. So that was a big bonus for me, because I thought that if she had to do a film and she had to kind of come together after Cakewalk, it has to be something big and nice. And Ek Dua was perfectly that kind of cinema, that kind of a platform, that kind of a subject, where we wanted to kind of collaborate together and make films.
That is incredible. Now, one thing that I've noticed, Ram, I think across the films that you've made so far, especially beginning from Cakewalk and Season Greetings and obviously now Ek Dua, I feel like this whole theme of second chances, especially with the lead female characters, is quite prominent. Especially if we look back at Season's Greetings, I mean, with Leila Dubé's character in that as well, second chances was such a big part of that. So what sort of attracts you to depicting this theme and showing this theme in your films?
Look, when I actually plan a movie or want to make a film, it is always the story that attracts me first. I don't kind of purposely hunt or look for stories which got strong characters in it, or male characters are predominant in it. I don't look for that kind. That's not my scanning process. My scanning process is to kind of get the right kind of script first, right kind of story first, and whether I really want to kind of tell that story. There's been many cases where I have liked a story, but I have not decided to direct the film, because for the simple reason that I would probably like it to read it as a reader, but I would not visualize it into a cinema, or I would not be able to do justice as a director to the subject. So often I have told many of my writers that, take it to this director, take it to that director, because that particular person will probably do better justice to your story. So this has been the scanning process as far as I'm concerned as a director. So if you talk about Cakewalk, Seasons Between Rickshawala, or now Ek Dua, all the four films will have different kind of characters that now that you see them, because now that you've seen the film, so you know that what I'm talking about, because most of the films I kind of try to to show my protagonist as a strong personality. Now the protagonist could be a male or a female. That depends on the story. But here you're true that in my past three films, women characters have been strong. So yeah, there's no harm in showing women strong, right, Anuj?
No, no, please. I love it. In fact, it's about. I think it's great. In fact, that's what I was gonna say. I think it's about time that we're seeing real female characters and strong female characters finally resurface cinema, because there was a time when it was very prominent back in like the 70s and 80s and 60s, I would even say. There was some really strong films. I mean, just to give an example on top of my head, like, Mother India, or even the films that Hema ji did. There were very strong female characters who basically stood up to patriarchy and were not just there to decorate the big screen, so to speak. So I think it's very important. But I also think even this whole, in a way, dysfunctional relationship between parents and child is very interesting as well. Like in Season's Greetings, we saw that between Selena's character and then and Lilith G's character as well. So again, how much of that, where does that come from? Where does that strand come from in particular?
Look, I'm a good observant. So when I'm mingling with people, when I'm socializing, whatever little socializing we get to do these days, whenever I'm socializing, whenever I'm meeting people, I try to kind of find a story in them. So all my stories are very rooted to reality. It is just a slice of life. I don't kind of look uh, into larger stories these days, because I'm not making feature films. The moment I'm going to kind of move to feature film zone, probably I'll uh, dug deep into more characters and more material, uh, just to kind of justify the length of the movie. But when I am doing something which is crisp, short, and something which is a slice of life, I try and observe people around me. And if you see the kind of characters that I show in my film are very realistic. They're not dolled up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So none of my characters are dolled up. So I'm getting this review of Ek Dua from different critiques, and even my earlier films, but particularly in Ek Dua, they are saying that it's very realistic. It touches the right chord. It is the kind of cinema that we would want to see. It is something which we have not seen Esha Deol playing ever in the past. So these are the things which one actually I try to keep in mind, that when I'm doing a film, that whether we have seen this particular artist doing the same kind of a role in the past or not, or have I been repetitive myself as a filmmaker, that I'm kind of repeating myself and telling the same story in a new shell. Am I trying to do that? So I keep kind of correcting myself in my own little way, because I've been a journalist myself and a critic myself. So I try to kind of first criticize my own work and see that whether I'm going on the right track or I'm going the wrong. I might go on the wrong track at times, because I'm human being. But I actually try and sit, evaluate, and see that whether I'm kind of being different with my work or not. And that is very important. So if you see the strands that you're asking about, Lilith Dubey or Selena or Aisha, all the characters that you have seen in the past in my movies are slice of life. I've seen people, I've met people, I've seen them dress up like that, talk like that, walk like that. So I am kind of, so when I'm writing the script, or when I'm kind of adapting a story from a story writer, I try and imbibe my own thought process, my own visuals into the story, and that's how it
Right.
shapes out.
Absolutely. That's so very well said. And you know, I think again how I mentioned about the whole second chances aspect in the previous question, and like you mentioned as well, like with Ek Dua, it is very special because we've not seen Esha play such a role in her career before as well. Even in Cakewalk as well, it was quite an icebreaker, I think, for her too in many ways. Even Season's Greetings for that matter, Selena, again, I think it really gave us that opportunity to view Selena in a way as an actor before, because I felt a lot of the roles she got, and we had a conversation about this as well near the time, and we were talking about how again she was very much, sort of they basically the I guess the sort of roles she got were very much into a particular type of image rather than actually giving her credence as an actor. What sort of drive you to choose actors like them in particular?
I feel that when I'm casting a particular actor, be it Esha or Selena or Lilith G or Avinash, whoever it is in my film, I try and figure out their core potential as an actor. In this case, since I knew Esha personally and Selena personally, so it worked in my favor because I knew them since many years. But with other actors like Lilith Dubey or Avinash or Sangeeta or Kasturi or Rohit Roy and Rita Bari, I'm doing many other films with actors who I don't know from from past.
Before.
So for them, in fact, for that, my homework needs to be very strong. I need to kind of know that what kind of work they have done in the past, what are their forties, how um, experimental they are with their expressions. So when a director actually kind of casts somebody, it's important for a person to kind of be a little experimental in terms of the character. So that worked well with me and Aisha because she believed in me. And when we worked out a particular look of Abida in Ek Dua, she pretty much liked the whole idea that I want her to look like this in the film. I want to wear a certain kind of costume in the film. I want her to walk and talk in a certain way in the film. So I had given her those, what do you call that, actor's tool
Right.
to kind of, play with when she's performing her scenes.
Mhm.
As a director, feel that a director needs to give its actor not only the space, but also some additional tools to make it look different. Because if I'm as a person, I'm the same person. So if I'm supposed to act in front of screen and I'm doing the same old glamorous role of a heroine or a hero in a commercial space, I won't have much to kind of offer apart from just looking great and wearing great clothes and looking fab. All that is very particular. But particularly what we get to see in a commercial cinema, we don't really talk about their acting prowess, or we don't talk about, oh, how experimental was he in his looks and all that stuff. But when we come to little, offbeat cinema or middle stream cinema or films that are being made by Balki or Sujit Sarkar or Sujay Ghosh and Mani Ratnam, and when these people actually make movie, we really talk about the character. We talk about their way of expression, how they are modulating themselves on screen. All these aspects come into being, or the critics talk about it when we do a film that's more story centric rather than a star centric. So
Mhm.
these are the things which I think as a filmmaker I also try and focus, that I do cast uh, actors. I do try and give them as much as freedom as possible, but at the same time, my focus is only on the story because I feel the story is the driving force. And in India, I guess Anuj, you'll also agree that we all go to theater to see a story. If we like the story, we say wow. If we don't like the story, even if it is like great acting, great performance, great direction, great music, we still say no, no, jama nahi. So that is how we kind of
Yeah.
we evaluate cinema. Fortunately or unfortunately, we are in a country where we love to listen to stories, and so primarily a concern of the director is to kind of tell a good story. So that has been my focus point. In that, I try and do as much as possible with my actors, as much as possible with my technical team, with my DOP, with my editing style, with my music. So I have my tools to kind of play with, whereas the actors have their tools to play with. So I try and kind of create a proper balance between the two, and try to bring out a final product that will be appreciated by people.
Beautiful, absolutely, yes. And I think one thing that I can also say, Ram, from Bengali cinema, like some of the names that you mentioned as well, like whether it's Satyajit Ray or of course Ritu Parno Ghosh as well, whom you paid a beautiful tribute to in Season's Greetings as well. We've had some amazing visionary storytellers emerge from Bengal as well. So how much of their influence has been on your style of storytelling too?
Oh, that's a wonderful question, and yes, I have been inspired by a lot of filmmakers, largely Bengali filmmakers, because I am from Calcutta. There is no doubt about that. But of course, there are directors like Girish Kasravalli, there are Adru Gopalakrishnan, there is Jhanu Barua, there is Mani Ratnam sir. Uh, there are these directors who have inspired me, apart from Satyajit Ray, Tarun Majumdar, Aparna Sen, Rituparno Ghosh, Gautam Ghosh, Atanu Ghosh, Srijit Mukherjee. I mean, the young directors also inspire me a lot. People like the kind of cinema that they are doing in Bengal is fabulous. And I'm really, really kind of, elated. And I feel very proud to say that, most Bengali directors make really good films. So when actually people we have a get together or we talk, eventually when people start talking about cinema, we see that 60% of the cinema that is discussed in these parties or in these gatherings are made by Bengali filmmakers.
Mhm.
So it comes to a point eventually that okay, Bengali filmmakers are the ones who actually kind of ends up telling good stories. So, so there is a kind of pressure also on me, as in when I am making a film, people would also expect that okay, he's a Bengali, so he will come with a certain kind of sensibilities. So even if I want to make something little, little candy floss or little popcornish, I will probably not make it because I have um, this preconceived notion of people that he's a Bengali, so he will certainly do something which is to do with intellect. So yeah,
Okay.
I am kind of stuck in between the two. But yeah, I'm enjoying. I mean, uh, if you ask me as a filmmaker, I think Satyajit Ray is one of the filmmakers, one of the directors who has always managed to narrate stories without being propagandish, without being preachy, without being unnecessarily intellectual. Is probably what
Yeah.
I would say, because you can become intellectual while you're talking, or you can probably make films which is only for film connoisseurs or only for film clubs, only for a certain section of people who will understand the language of international cinema. But Satyajit Ray, after knowing the world cinema, after knowing the A to Z of cinema, he still preferred to tell the story in a very native way. He wanted to kind of tell his stories in a very grassroots, gritty level.
Mhm.
That worked. And that I think has inspired me a lot, particularly in terms of seasons greeting, when people actually watched and they came up with many connotations, they came up with many issues, and you've dealt with this, you've dealt with that, you've done this, you've done that. But I have just been, I told them that I'm telling you a story, and for people who doesn't know all these missions and LGBTQIA or transgender or Hindu, Muslim, all these things, even if you don't know, you're just going to watch a film, you will enjoy the story. You don't have to be an intellectual to like my film. If you're an intellectual, if you happen to be a student of cinema, you will probably like it a little more. But if even if you are not, you'll not get disappointed. So that's the balance I again try to strike with all my films.
Very, very true. And I got that as well, actually, when I watched Season Greetings too. And I think I mentioned that in my review, actually. I remember watching it, and I was definitely I loved the build up towards the mother-daughter estranged relationship, the dysfunctional relationship. I think it was fabulous. Now, Ram, before you became a director, you were the former editor-in-chief of Stardust Magazine, which is one of the biggest film magazines in India. Um, Now, when you were in that position, did you always envision yourself to be a director? Did you always have this sort of goal and ambition to become a director, or do you think it's just that life happened for you in that sort of way, in
So
that
till
direction?
the last day of my work as an editor in chief of Stardust, I didn't know what I'm going to do next. But yes, I was getting a little stagnated in what I was doing because I was been doing journalism for last 15 years. So, and as a journalist, I think I had reached my peak because you can't. What would you become after editor? You that's the
Exactly.
highest post.
Yeah.
So then, either I continue doing the same thing for years and, hang my boots, or I try to kind of, do something else. So I took that risk and I actually ventured into production. And I started doing a finance series with a director called Rajshri Oja, who did Aisha with Sonam Kapoor.
Yes. Mm.
That's when I worked with her as an associate producer on her serial Bin Kuch Kahe, which was a finance series for ZTV.
Mhm.
And I learned a lot at that point of time because the whole year, I mean, the time frame that we had spent together on the sets and in Jaipur with actors, that was a huge learning experience for me. And but of course, from the production point of view. I realized that I don't want to do a serial or I don't want to kind of make serials because that's you don't get too much of creative freedom.
Yeah.
Most of it is decided by the channel. Most of it is decided by the person who is putting in the money or the creative heads. So when you have already a creative head in place and when you have the creative people taking the call, you being a creative person will only feel claustrophobic and you'll feel that you become an executioner uh, to their diktats, to their commands. So that didn't work for me. And that's when I thought that, should I become a producer or should I, try to tell a story? But I was still not confident, Anuj, that I would become a
Oh.
director. And that's when I thought that, okay, let me at least produce a film and see that whether the experience is same or not. That's how I thought of producing Cakewalk. And I initially approached Asia as the producer for Cakewalk.
Oh wow.
And yeah, I was actually working on. And I didn't have a director on board, and I was thinking of hiring somebody to direct Cakewalk. And that's when Aisha told me that you are so involved and you worked on the script, you're doing the costume, you're doing the casting, you're doing every part of it. Why don't you direct it yourself? So I said that I'm not a director and don't know I'll be able to do justice or not. She said that, were you an editor earlier, like before you became an editor? I said, no, I was a journalist. So I said, so you learned, like you became a editor and then you learned the job, right? And she said, yeah, I did. I said, so you become a director and you learn the job. So so I was like, yeah, you have a point. I mean, that I didn't see it from
True.
that point. But actually, I always say that, she was the one who actually kind of took me to the cliff and pushed me off from the mountain just to make me realize that I have a pair of wings which I was not using, and I knew how to fly, but I need somebody to push me from the cliff so that I could open up my wings and fly because I was thinking that no, I will not be able to fly. So that's how I think that happened, and she encouraged me to become a filmmaker. And
Hmm.
Cakewalk I directed with my co-director Abro Chakraborty, and after that, it's been a beautiful journey. I've been directing my films, and Obro is doing his own films.
Oh,
And
nice.
so, yeah, that's how I become a director.
That is very
I'm an
interesting.
accidental director, you might say.
Yeah. And you know what? But that's the beauty, Ram. I feel like I think as a journalist myself and as a presenter myself, seeing your journey is quite inspiring in many ways because you've learned it from grassroots. You've learned it from, like you said, observing. And from literally just being in the field, I guess being on the in a bit on the surface of the field to actually looking into it. And I think that has definitely been a very fascinating sort of experience as well just to hear about, because I think when you are part of the industry you somehow do feel like you become an expert at it because you give so many opinions, you kind of understand cinema so much more. And you but then I guess when you're actually in the director seat it's a complete different ball game, right? Did you also feel that difference as well when you were in the director seat, being like, okay, ये अगर मैं film देखता तो शायद ऐसे different react करता, लेकिन when you're making it you feel differently?
My own film, you're talking about my own film?
Yeah, your own film.
Yeah, it does happen. Like, whenever I watch my own film, I become really, really critical with my own work, and I always feel that people are not going to like it, and people are going to kind of criticize, and people are going to kind of find the flaws, and I can see the flaw. Will they be able to see the flaw? So these things actually keeps playing in my mind, but fortunately, God's grace that I have sailed through, and people have liked my work. Of course, there are flaws in films, and they have pointed out I am somebody who has always accepted bouquets along with brickbats, or brickbats along with bouquets, because as a filmmaker you can't really expect that everybody's going to come and praise your work and say, oh, you're a genius. So then that's end of your journey, because unless you are being challenged, or unless you are being criticized, or unless your flaws are being pointed out towards you, you will not improve with your skill. So I always appreciate the feedback that I get, like, like even now with Ek Duaa or with Rickshawala. Uh, Most of them, like 90% of people have liked the film, but there are people who have minor points, minor suggestions, or some creative inputs they have, which I do hear. And obviously it is too late for me to incorporate because the film is already done and released. But I
Mhm.
keep it in my mind that next time when I face a similar situation or a similar catch, I should be able to kind of solve the problem, because the person has already given me the idea. So I have good people around. I have people like you. I have a lot of people who are genuine, who would never, who wouldn't mince their words when they're talking about my film, and I really appreciate that, because their honest feedback matters a lot to me. And
Mhm.
as I mentioned earlier, also I'm a good observant. So I'm observing when you're talking, when you're questioning me, I'm observing you. When you're criticizing me, I'm observing you. When you're liking me, I'm observing you. So my observance is something which I really kind of treasure, because that's what I have. I don't have anything else, and that is my source of learning. And that's how I'm probably growing in whatever speed you might say as a director.
Incredible. Absolutely. Very, very true. And I think that's exactly what we all need as human beings. I mean, this is exactly the sort of journey we need. We need to all keep learning and keep growing in many ways. Now, the first time we met, Ram, was, I believe, in June or July 2018, where you had come to launch your biography here, which is,
My
of
God,
course,
you have got the book.
yes.
That's a surprise.
So that was actually the Stardust Awards actually that was held here in the UK, but jointly as well you launched Beyond the Dream Girl, which is of course an authorized biography of our
Yeah.
Dil Ki Dhadkan, Hema Malini ji. And I think it was just so fascinating, I think, for me as well, because again, as a journalist and as an editor, we're so used to telling true stories, which is limited to like maybe 2, 3 pages max, if that. But to write a biography, a Baqaida book on someone who is as legendary as Hema ji, I mean that must have definitely not been a cakewalk for sure. So how was that process for you? I mean, to getting down to actually, writing this. What was the key sort of ideas for you in writing Beyond the Dream Girl?
Huh. Look, be it a book on Hemaji or Sanjay Dutt, or now I've completed writing a book on Mithun Chakraborty. So that's going to
Wow.
release in August. Yeah. So
Oh my God, that's amazing. Oh my God, this is awesome. Wow, I didn't know that. Congratulations. This is so cool.
thank you so much. Yeah. So the official announcement is going to happen in August, but yeah, since I'm talking, so I kind of spoke about it. But
Whoa.
yeah, writing books on celebrities, writing book on personalities also gives me a different high,
Mhm.
because when I'm talking to these personality, when I'm talking to these people, and they are opening up or they are talking about their journey, it is always inspiring to hear somebody else's struggle. so when they actually talk about their struggle, when they actually talk about their entire career, they are opening up to you, and that is very important for me as a director, that
Yeah.
I am earning the trust of these legends who are actually opening up and telling their stories. So I would probably earn equal amount of trust from my actors who would open up and would perform in front of screen when I'm giving them a character to play. So this is the balance that I do. And apart from that, you're talking about Hema ji's life. I mean, she is an inspiration. She is dream girl. She is an inspiration for all. She is somebody who's been an inspiration for me. And this was my second book on her, because my first book, I wrote her a book on her in 2005. It
Yes.
was called Diva Unveiled. It was a coffee table book. And after that, I became India's youngest biographer. And that's how I started my journey. Yeah, because I guess I, I didn't even knew about that till BBC kind of called me, BBC Radio from London. They called me and they said that, you happen, do you know that you're the youngest biographer in India? I said, not really. I don't know. I said, yeah, because I was 26 or 25 at that point of time. My age was like that. So he said that nobody has written a biography at this age. And that too of a personality who is Hema Malini. So yeah, that was there. But that was a pictorial representation of her life. And then later on, she became, and she also achieved a lot after that. So I really wanted to write a biography, authorized biography, and that's how But Beyond the Dream Girl happened. And it got widely appreciated, critically appreciated. It was launched by Deepika Padukone in Bombay. It
Yes.
was yeah, it was launched in London by Vaijayantimala
I
ji.
know,
You were
yes,
there.
I remember. I remember. Oh my God, I remember this event. Like, this was really cool because I think the cast of Pulton was also there. Because I remember
Yeah,
we had the press junket with the Pulton team
yeah,
the
yeah,
day
yeah.
before, and then the next day they were at the event. So it was really wonderful. It was. I miss events like this. This doesn't happen anymore because of the pandemic. But
I'm telling Mag, and I'm telling Stardust to do some event very soon. We have to come to London because I'm missing London so badly. Yeah,
please, no, 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 please, 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 please. I would love to be a part of this. By the way, it would be amazing to
yeah,
be a part
would
of this.
love to come. So the thing is that, so after that I did Sanjay Dutt and then Mithun Da. So, and Mithun Da's journey, oh my God, I mean, I can't even start, because if I start, I won't be able to end. So
Yeah.
it's that, because it's that kind of magnanimous life they have led.
Mhm.
And you have so much to learn from them. You have so much, they have made their mistakes, they have made their flaws, they have their own set of flaws which they do. So obviously, there are certain things which one needs to uh you know
Yeah.
learn from them.
Learn
There's no
from.
issue per se that what particular thing you get to learn from one person, is it similar that you get to learn from the other person? That's not the issue here. So I guess you know uh,
Yeah.
the
So you
Hema
have.
Malini, Sanjay Dutt, and Mithun, both, all the three books were very important, and I've learned a lot.
Wow. So I guess a lot of ground research must have had to take place as well, right? For it, like a lots of interviews, I presume, and a lot of fact gathering and then sort of dividing it into certain chapters. I guess that must have been the real groundwork for you, isn't it?
For every book, there is a lot of research that one needs to kind of do, and interact with a lot of people. So that actually takes up my time. And people do ask me that, okay, you're producing, you're writing, you're writing for you're writing scripts, you're producing, you're directing, uh, you're also writing biographies. How do you manage to do so many things at the same time? But this lockdown helped me in finishing my book on Mithun, I would say,
Oh,
because there weren't much happening in terms of movies. And that's when I started researching and digging up articles, reading old articles, meeting Mitunda, his family, people that he had worked with. Same thing I did for Sanjay Dutt, and same thing I did for Himaji also. So, so I do meet people. I do meet the directors, their co-actors, their relatives, their family members, their extended family members. to get various viewpoints. So if you see, my biographies are not one dimensional. My biographies are multi-dimension
Mm-hmm.
because I talk to various people. So you have various aspects of the same person.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something I think interesting, rather than that person talking all by himself is a one-dimensional story. The
Mm-hmm.
moment, if I tomorrow have to write a book on you, and I just interview you, then it'll be just one-dimensional Anuj story. But I'd
True.
rather kind of talk to your colleagues, your family, your friends, your dear and near ones, and also your detractors who feel that you are not great. So I also kind of make sure that I talk to detractors. I do put in the negative reviews, and then ask them that what they have to say about the negative aspects that people are talking about. The
Mm-hmm.
same thing went with Hema ji and Sanjay Dutt and Mithun. So and they're gracious enough to kind of answer those negative questions. So these things makes it more interesting.
It's almost like a written documentary in a way, isn't it? I guess because you're trying to show
Yeah,
both sides of the
yeah,
story. I mean, journalism, that's exactly what journalism is, right? It's balanced. It's always, the for and against and, two sides to a story. So I can completely vouch for that. But I think on a final note as well, the fact coming back to you as a director, going forward now, is there a sort of dream project or dream sort of ambitious project that you have in mind that you want to perhaps pursue, or maybe
yes,
actors
yes.
that you're
I am
working
planning to start my first Bengali feature film,
on? Oh,
and that is based on the life of Nati Binodini, a stage actress. It's a biopic, and that is something which I'm very passionately working on for last 2 years. So
wow.
hopefully, fingers crossed, I think I'll be in a position to kind of announce the film very soon and take it to the floor. And so by next year, I think you'll have Binodini all set uh, uh, to kind of, for you guys to watch. And it'll be subtitles, so you'll be able to kind of understand. So that's not a problem. And in the Hindi language, yeah, there are two feature films which I am currently talking about. And I'm about to kind of sign on the dotted lines with two production houses. So let's see how things works out, because if you see, I started 2 years back. I mean, literally in 2019, Cakewalk released, I think,
Hmm.
and we are in 2021, and I've completed 6 films, which is not bad.
Pretty good, I would say, actually, to be honest. And plus, again, like you said, the length as well of the films and just have a clear narrative arc within that is so tough. People quite underestimate, short, like, not, I don't want to say short films, but films which have a slightly shorter duration than a stereotypical feature film. I think people quite underestimate that, and I think it's so true. I think you've done extremely well to make 6 films within this short span of time. It's pretty amazing, to be honest.
It is
So
indeed.
yeah, no, for sure. But I am so excited, Ram. I think, every time your film comes up or a project of yours comes up, I think it just genuinely makes me very happy. I feels like हाँ मेरा एक दोस्त है जो एक अच्छी film बना रहा है और अच्छी मतलब काम कर रहा है, and it's very inspiring as well. As a journalist myself, to see this journey, and I think it's definitely motivated me to also work really hard as well and try and strive for more in life. So.
That makes me feel very happy, and that makes me feel motivated, Anuj, that every time you actually come up and you actually show your interest, you spare that time from your busy schedule. I'm sure you have Bollywood biggies, wanting them to be interviewed, and in that you find out time for people like us, independent filmmakers who are trying to do something new, trying to find out a platform, trying to do something new. I'm extremely grateful and thankful to you for giving me this opportunity and for talking to me.
Oh, it's honestly, it's a pleasure. The pleasure is all mine. And Ram, wishing you all the very best on the future ventures. I am super excited and I can't wait for those projects and everything else to transpire. I'm just waiting for that time. And also a huge congratulations on Ek Duaa once again, which is streaming on Voot Select.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Take
Ram.
care.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you so much.